Hey everyone, it's the Sith Justice Warriors coming at you late because, quite frankly, I was worried about my fantasy football team yesterday.
What you
Um,
want?
it did win, but it was at a big price.
Yeah.
But that being said, we are here to do our typical entertainment geek news roundup. But before we dive into that, we've got a little bit of gaming news that we have to do. We have to shout out. What is up with Microsoft buying Bethesda?
7.5 billion. Hey, you have it.
Just yeah, I mean it's actually interesting. 7.5 billion is I think it's more than Sony or something in terms of like just market cap or some crazy number. It's just they just dropped 7.4 billion to buy the entire company. I just think it's crazy.
It's just funny because, I may be an ignorant person when it comes to this stuff, but I know business, and from a business side perspective, this goes back to what we talked about before that, I will say there's a lack of true exclusives. There are definitely Xbox only games, but they also are available on PC. No offense to the PC master race. It's just, it just feels like there's truly no exclusivity on Xbox. This is the FU, in my opinion, from a business perspective of I had 7.5 billion and I made a choice. And since no one is coming to the table with exclusives for me, then I will buy a company to bring exclusives to my gaming system. That's my business minded point of view. What are your thoughts, fan? What are your thoughts?
Um,
I'm
I
curious.
I actually, the rumors tend to be pretty good at leaking, and I was actually surprised at how quiet they kept that rumor. I thought the Warner Brothers one was a little bit more of a that was a little bit more likely than this. But hey, there was back in the day, there was a rumor that ZeniMax was trying to get out of the gaming business because I think they were just I just think I heard something about the fact that they just didn't think it was viable for them to do it. Kudos to Microsoft, but I kind of have a bad feeling that Skyrim. I mean, I would like them to make it exclusive, like Star. What is the game? Not Star Citizen. Star. Um, Dang it, the Bethesda game. Anyway, that one looks good. This
But Bethesda makes more than Skyrim, right? And the owner of Bethesda is what they ended up buying,
Starfield. Sorry. Yeah,
which
no,
is,
they
you
bought
know,
the parent company.
yep. Which, as
So
we know, there are multiple entities under the parent company, and they run them pretty much. It almost feels like very entrepreneurial. But yes, ZeniMax Media is the one that owns them. What's interesting is The Verge posted that Microsoft will honor Bethesda's PS5 exclusives, but future console releases will be quote unquote case by case. So for example, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, which kind of looks pretty cool, they will be PS5 exclusives coming from this maker. Bethesda's ZeniMax actually also owns the Doom franchise as well as Fallout. So like I said, very interesting. I like what you said though, because you know, when you think about it, this rumor didn't even leak. They literally like kept this one under wraps big time. And I wonder if that's why no true quote unquote exclusives were announced for Xbox. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. This is just exciting times.
no, I mean it's good. It's actually really good from a competition standpoint. I think, hey, you know what? Better competition from Microsoft gives better competition to Sony. Like I
Exactly.
said, the only thing for me that I would be possibly interested in is God of War and Persona 6. And, well, um, if they can push Sony to do some more, then maybe Sony will give me more. I think that'd be great. So we'll dive deeper into it on our Friday podcast. Hopefully, there's more details that come out of it, more shakeout. I find it interesting that articles that used to say Microsoft lacking exclusives is bad. Sony is still strong with the exclusives, and that's why it's going to win. Those same media folks are saying Microsoft should take the high road and make Skyrim multi-plat. But but it's okay when Sony tells you can't play Final Fantasy 16. But anyway, I digress. We'll dive in deeper Friday. Let's go back to the Marvel movies. So I think you've got a lineup for us, Lumpia. What do you got?
Yeah, so big news this last week and into today, actually, which is, or into yesterday, actually, which is really good that we kind of were a little bit just in the waiting game to record, but better that we do it live. First off is the casting of She-Hulk. It was heavily rumored that it would be, I believe her name is Allison. Oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank, but she is the lead in the Netflix show Glow, and she was supposedly in the running for the lead of She-Hulk. But it actually Allison Brie was her name. But surprisingly, Marvel did a different like spin to it, and I'm probably going to butcher her name, but it's Tatiana Maslany. And she is known for her portrayal as the lead in the show called Black Orphan. I never watched it, but I know that um, it was just critically acclaimed. It was a very sci-fi-esque sort of show. So it's interesting that they pulled her in for this role to play Jennifer, the lead character in She-Hulk. It will be interesting who they bring in as the secondary cast for the show. But it sounds like things are up and running for the She-Hulk franchise, which is great because, as we all know, because of COVID, things were kind of put kind of on hold. It was just actually recently announced that Falcon Winter Soldier, which was supposed to come out this year, was also pushed out to 2021 because a lot of the filming was being done in Puerto Rico, and unfortunately, filming was at a standstill. They finally got back into the filming of it, but I think there's just still a lot of uncertainty with COVID and how things are basically going to go from a project management standpoint. So it makes sense to push it out. The other piece of news that came out yesterday was the WandaVision trailer, which I'd love to get your thoughts on, Fan. As you guys know, we're not going to do a reaction video, but we would love to. It's just unfortunately with a lot of the reaction videos lately, it's been tough because there's a lot of YouTube blocking going on to these things when it not only helps promote their properties, but it gets gets the word out and things like that. But I digress from that. But that was a very interesting trailer, Fan, and I mean I wanted to kind of talk it through with you. It was a very short trailer. It was very rapid, in my opinion, because it went from, I don't know, it reminded me of like June Cleaver or I Love Lucy, sort of like, what is that, 50s, like sort of black and white type of sitcom show. Then it like rolled into like, I don't know, looked like the 70s and then into like the 80s. So it went into different flashes of time periods where they were a couple and they literally were in different, like they even had her in her typical Scarlet Witch costume, actually. That's from the comic books, the red bodysuit or leotard, that costume, and they had him like really green, like it almost looked fake. His vision sort of look in the comic books. Um, Again, I'm not probably doing any justice to the trailer. It was a very weird sort of trailer with a lot of things in it. I actually need to probably watch it again, because I need to understand what the heck is going on and some of the clues. But I'd love to just open it up, fan, just to get your opinion before I try to digest it. Maybe you saw some things I didn't.
Yeah, I actually kind of thought it was kind of neat how I honestly got the creepy vibe to it. I just felt
Yeah.
like all this happy, I Love Lucy stuff was just not real. Granted, we knew. I mean, Vision died.
Hmm.
Wanda can distort reality. So the idea that there's anything happy about it was just odd. But
Yeah.
it was just this feeling of it doesn't make sense, like what the heck is going on? It was actually really neat, and I have to say, I'm actually interested. Finally, something to look at Disney Plus for again,
Yep.
and I don't know. I think what else I could say to it is just I'm happy that this is going to
That we get something.
we get something right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will say you brought up a good point, like this creepy vibe, because Catherine Hahn is in it, and it looks like she plays their friend. But there's one scene where she's sitting in a car and Vision wakes her up, and she made a comment like, "Oh, because you're dead," and like he kind of was like, "What?" Like, so I wonder who she plays. They haven't named her on the IMDb page. Um, she's rumored to play Agatha Harkness or Agnes. And if you're familiar with Scarlet Witch's comic book, she's a ghost that basically travels with her and is like her best friend in a weird way, I think. So that's going to be interesting. What I did like actually about this is that this actually reminded me of the comic book, the Visions, where like, they Vision tried to have like a suburban sort of life with other, like, his wife and children. So it's interesting that they, like, it's weird because it almost feels like they kind of melded everything together and like created this sub universe that could potentially be linked to, as we all know, Wanda, um, is in Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness. So I wonder if this is a multiverse, if this is in everyone's head. Like you said, Vision is dead. So what is going on is what seems to me the big thing here. There are people that online are trying to break down the trailer. Like I said, there were things that I caught, there were things that I didn't catch. I'm curious if this is going to tie into the X-Men somehow. Is this going to bring in the mutants somehow? I don't know, because everyone always links Wanda to the House of M storyline from the comic books. And that is where the phrase "no more mutants" came about, and everyone who is a mutant lost their power. And no mutant was born until Hope. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of weave it all in. The other announcement that I forgot to mention was the casting of the Ant-Man 3 villain. Um, and, you know, so I believe this is who he's going to be playing, is that Jonathan Majors, who is in currently the oh my God, Lovecraft Country HBO series. He actually is going to be the villain, I believe, and I'm trying to remember if it was confirmed or not. He's going to be playing Kang the Conqueror. If not, he could be someone else. As you all know, Marvel tends to throw little, like, just little random rumors just to get you excited, but it's actually not really the reality. So he could potentially be playing Kang the Conqueror, which, as we all know, he's a time traveling villain, so to speak. He kind of has done battles with Thor, the Avenger, Spider-Man. most recently as well, the Inhumans. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it all links together. Um, and like I said, there were a lot of Marvel announcements, you know, that came around and Marvel Disney announcements. So, I mean, it's a good thing that they're picking up traction, especially since they were absent from a Comic Con perspective, even the San Diego Con, and they didn't even do their own like sort of DC metaverse sort of thing, web sort of thing to kind of introduce it. So it'll be interesting, like I said, to see how they kind of put it all together. Something tells me that this WandaVision, um, we may not see mutants per se, but I think this could lead to something even more if they do it right. So I guess I'm excited. I guess I'm excited is what I'm trying to say. We'll have to wait and see. This is the first one we'll be getting. Besides getting Mandalorian 2 in October, we will be getting this at least to quench you know, our withdrawal of, sort of superhero kind of in the mainstream, either TV or movie related. What's interesting is that Marvel Disney has not still announced anything about Black Widow. So, and with the way things are in the movie theaters, I'm just not sure.
Ah, Olympia, you Olympia lost connection over there. Yeah, so I guess the question will be for all of us as I try to get her back. Um, what was I gonna say? Can can they bring back that magic? I mean, that's my one thing that I'm trying to figure out. Can they just bring back that magic? And I hope they do. I think they really took a lot of emotion out of us with Endgame. Our two main characters that we loved are pretty much gone or retired. So I got you back, Lumpia. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, sorry, the internet's been kind of shitty. I basically was just wrapping it up. This was kind of all I kind of had from Disney Marvel thing between the news there that they had just coming out recently. The one thing, like I did say, I might have gotten cut off was while we're getting a lot of this great news about the things that they're continuing to work on, we are not getting much news about the whole situation around Black Widow. Is that still slated for theatrical release? Is that going to be a Mulan release? I don't know, but it's sort of the elephant in the room in my opinion that they have not addressed yet.
Oh, so yeah, this is what I wanted to ask you because Milan's right now locked behind the paywall where you've got to pay the premium. Definitely, Black Widow will probably be on that premium wall as well. And I have they expressed or given more detail about the fact that um, we have to pay like per title, or do we pay and then that's our new
So
monthly?
supposedly there's a premium access to the service, which I didn't realize there was. I was one of the few adapters who jumped on the full year pass. I'm guessing that if you have the premium service, then you get access to all the movies. And I believe the premium service was a 29.99 fee. So I don't know if that's monthly. I'd have to do some research on it. But I will say, like, if that's the route they take for Black Widow, I will definitely buy into it. What I'm curious about is that they have not really said much about Mulan and how it did. They're not releasing any of the details in terms of how many people did buy into it, how many streams, like how many people logged in to watch it, how many people upgraded. Like, I'm pretty sure they have those metrics to see the interest, and I'm guessing that will be the gauge like that they use as to whether or not to keep moving forward in this platform. Um, like I said, what's interesting is that while we're getting a lot of the great news that like things are happening, like the casting for Ant-Man 3, like the shows that they're running for Disney Plus, it still leaves something to be said about movies, which was supposed to be their big thing. This was supposed to be like another summer of like movies, like right after each other, and I don't think that's gonna happen. Um, so I guess we'll have to see what happens going forward, but like I said, we'll keep an eye on it. What would be great is if they did something like a Disney-esque sort of, you know, like update, kind of like DC like did to bring in the fans and say, here's what you need to look forward to, get excited, here's some sneak peeks, that kind of thing. But they have yet to step up to the plate for that. So yeah, we'll get there and we'll keep track of it.
Yeah, I mean they've really got to step up on this Disney Plus thing because it is dry as the Sahara Desert. I mean, this is not like at least Netflix. Granted they've got a bit of issues with their selection of content, and I'm not going to get into that. It's at least they have a variety of things. Hulu at least has TV to lean on. Disney Plus is just struggling off this nostalgia. I'm hoping they can get their act together and get some hits. And I understand that the world's been uh, shut down, but they should have had some kind of contingency plan. By the way, can we address the the weird thing that is Sebastian Stan and what is up with that haircut going with the clean cut?
I don't know what's going on. Like
No, I mean
what?
his portrayal of Bucky Barnes is back to the clean cut, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. Actually, that's what you meant by clean cut. I'm like, what do you mean clean cut? Yeah, after seeing him for like a brief minute in like Wakanda, and then he had the long hair and shit, and now he's like back to normal. Yeah, I hope they explain that. I don't know. I kind of liked the gruff
The
sort of Bucky
Keanu,
Barnes.
the
It's
Keanu.
that, yeah, like gruff, like speed. Like, not speed, like the gruff Keanu, and then now he's Keanu Speed. He's like
Oh,
he's
back
like
to
speed.
I had to lump that Keanu in there, didn't I?
You know what? I got an update from Berserker, his comic his
Oh God.
Kickstarter comic book, which like I said, I don't get paid to do this, but I am a big fan of. They just hit another milestone, so it's very exciting.
Did you get all
I
3 volumes?
I did.
Oh, good.
That's what the Kickstarter is for, actually. Like I said, it is going to your local comic shop in the typical comic format,
If it
12
survives.
issues, I believe. Those 12 issues are going to be collected in three graphic novels. So this is what the Kickstarter is actually for, the three graphic novels. And the upper tiers of this Kickstarter are sold out. Like one was like you could get yourself drawn into the comic, like something to do with like Keanu signing them all. Like, believe me, I was really tempted. Like, when am I ever gonna meet Keanu Reeves? Like, unless I'm stranded at an airport and he invites me, like, with a couple other people to drive in a minivan to get to where we got to get to. So, it's one of those things where it's like, I would have done it, but you know, somebody else did. Lucky them. But yeah, I mean, um, I guess what I'm trying to say is support your local artists. They need to eat, they need a job, and it's a very difficult industry, and especially without the Comic Cons, like to really push their art forward and their work forward. They really rely on things like Kickstarter, Indiegogo to really put it out there in the format that they need it to be without the filters, if you will, that sometimes the mainstream will push. So think of it and support your local starving artists truly, because some of them are.
Yeah, and then by the way, I just saw also the tweet of I think it's the official Disney Plus picture with Tatiana as
Oh, is
She-Hulk.
it? Is it?
I
I
think it's
gotta
got a
check it out.
Disney Plus watermark on the bottom. I mean, she looks good in a sense that she doesn't look like the comic book iteration of her, the
Oh
current
my
comic book
God.
iteration of her.
Speaking of, like, she and the comic book iteration of her supposedly is in a relationship with Thor, which is kind of crazy.
I'm actually surprised that they made it with Thor for
Well,
reasons I can't really
They
say.
had a kiss in one of the most recent comics, and it just looks interesting because she's got biceps that are bigger than his. So,
Yeah, I don't. Hey, that's what he wants to do. I mean,
but
that's
then
what he.
she actually transforms back, and like I said, I'm not that familiar with a lot of her stuff. Just like probably the more recent, but like I guess she's like Bruce, where like she does transform back into Jennifer Walters, like and looks like a normal person. I thought she always looked like that.
No. She does. She can transfer back.
Okay.
Bruce is the one that can't.
Okay, got it. That's why I was like,
Right? It's
miss.
actually interesting. He's the original one, but he can never figure it. Like, well, let me rephrase it. He can transfer back, but it's not like. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just not. It's different. I guess is the best way to put it.
It is, yeah. It's like anger management versus like hers, which I don't know. I
Yeah,
actually don't know.
I don't
So
know.
yeah. So Thor took her on a first date to the Savage Land because
Okay.
he thought it would impress her, you know. Like,
Okay.
but she totally was bored with it. Anyway, she was
Okay.
in her normal form. He took her there to the Savage Land because he thought she'd get a kick out of like, all the like the creatures and stuff. Like,
Okay.
and I just got a kick out of that one. So
Okay.
the great,
Only Marvel Comics can do things in very Marvel Comics ways. There's a reason why people are going to Kickstarter.
the great experiment continues.
And
So
you know
yeah,
what? When you have a lot of money that you don't care and profitability is not your concern, I mean, yeah, it's going to keep going that way, right?
yeah, yeah. It's like if you had 7.5 billion, you could buy Bethesda.
You know, that's my greatest fear is that anyway.
My thing is, you know what? I enjoyed the Dishonored game, the Dishonored franchise.
Mhm.
I'd like to see them continue it.
Oh yeah, that'd
I
be
never
good.
finished the second one, but it was pretty cool. Like I don't know how it ended, so I'd like to see if they can continue that franchise. And then Fallout was okay. It was strange for me. Um,
But it's all going to be
Skyrim,
on Game Pass. All
yeah,
of that stuff.
Skyrim's the one where it's like I need a lot of time. I need a lot of time. There's just too much for me, like
Mhm.
to do in Skyrim. Um,
Well, that means the Elder Scrolls Online is actually going to also be back on Game. Well, it always was on Game Pass. No, actually, no, it wasn't. But I
it
guess
wasn't. I don't think it was, which would be great because I could get back into it.
yeah, but it also means that we can go back to the Game Pass on PC as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
There are things
insane.
that are positive in all of this, but this is like any good business deal and any common sense in business is that um, you have to think future looking. And if, to me, from a business perspective, if Game Pass is truly the like ultimate for them that they're going to really build this like as their foundation, then you might as well have the titles to back it up. Doom is a really big franchise, especially for the PC. I remember it from back in the day. I never was a Doom person, but I heard it was good, the most latest iteration of it. I think you played it. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'll have to get into it eventually on my list after I think after Destiny 2, which I just read about, by the way, has like some new adventure posting this week. So I'll have to check it out with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That said, let's wrap it up. So, if you would like our content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications as we drop new content. And then, if you want to reach out to us at our Twitter handle at Justice Sith. And yeah, we're looking forward to the next conversation to catch up with you folks. So, till then, see you on the Sith side.
Bye.